Our topic was meat production methods, and today I'll be giving a brief description of each one and a little bit of um, positives and negatives associated with each one. Our first method is known as CAFO, or Concentrated Animal Feeding Operation, and it's also called feedlot. It's a densely crowded method where animals are fed large amounts of corn or other grains, and it's meant to raise them as quickly as possible. Some positives are it maximizes land use and profit, and that's what most meat production per unit of area, and it also minimizes the cost of meat for the consumers. And as far as the negatives, the animals are given antibiotics and growth hormones to prevent diseases, outbreaks, and speed meat production. Animals produce large volume of waste, which can contaminate nearby surfaces or groundwater and badly affect their living environment. This produces large amounts of greenhouse gases, for example, CO2, methane, and N2O, which leads to climate change over time. The next method is manure lagoons, and this is a large open storage pit for animal feces, and their waste typically contains ammonia, hormones, antibiotics, and fecal coliform bacteria, which is also known as E. coli. Heavy rain can flood lagoons and contaminate nearby surfaces, such as the groundwater and the lakes and runoff nearby. And this typically leads to E. coli, which is toxic to humans, and then ammonia leading to eutrophication. Antibiotics and growth hormones alter endocrine, which is hormonal system of humans. And denitrification of ammonia in manure produces nitrous oxide, which is an extremely powerful greenhouse gas. And these manure lagoons can be emptied, plus buried in landfills, or turned into fertilizer pellets, which is seen as the main positive to this. The next method of meat production is free-range grazing. This is where animals, usually cows, will graze on grass and grow at their natural rate without hormones. There's no need for antibiotics with the dispersed population among the fields. This doesn't require production of corn to feed animals, and their waste is dispersed over land naturally, acting as fertilizers instead of building up in lagoons and causing toxic waste to the waters. On the downside, this requires more land use per pound of meat produced, and it's more expensive to consume for the people buying the meat. And another positive is animals can graze on land too dry for most crop growth. However, this leads to the next topic of overgrazing. And overgrazing is where too many animals are grazing an area of land and it can remove all the vegetation, which is the grass in this case, which leads to topsoil erosion. Animals also compact the soil by walking over it, decreasing water holding capacity, which causes even more erosion. And then desertification can occur if plants are killed by overgrazing and the soil is compacted so much that it cannot hold enough water anymore to support plant life. Rotational grazing can be done, which is where the moving of animals is done periodically to allow for the land to replenish itself. And this can prevent overgrazing and can increase the growth of grass by distributing the manure from where the cows just were, which acts as the natural fertilizer, like I said earlier. And the clippings of the grass are fed back into the ground, and the grass is clipped back to size where growth is most rapid. Part of our topic is talking about the inefficiency of meat, and producing meat for humans to eat is far less efficient than producing plants in terms of energy, land, and water consumption. As far as energy, far more energy is put towards bringing water to the animals, energy needed to house the animals, and energy needed to slaughter and package the animals, versus planting, watering, and harvesting plants. As far as land consumption, cows or animals in general take up a lot more land, plus the food or the land needed to grow their food is more than just growing the plants themselves. And then the water they need to drink obviously needs to be stored, which takes up more land. Meat production comes along with its issues, and one such being overconsumption, specifically in the developed world. And this occurs after demographic transition of 25% of land in the area is used for livestock. Another issue is the effects on water in which the animal waste can have, and it can decrease aquatic primary productivity, decrease in albedo, increase in water temperature, decrease in dissolved oxygen levels, and increase in organic matter and nutrient load, increase in decomposition by aerobic bacteria, eutrophication, and such things like that. And overall is obviously having animal waste introduced into a water environment is not ideal for the environment.